Hello everybody and welcome back to RPL. Welcome aboard. It is round number 8 of the season. We are in Canada. Oh, Canada. We are back. I'm your commentator, Ryan Ocon31. It is good to have everybody and anyone join us for another race weekend of RPL. We start off with Formula 1, Tier 2, and today is a big day for many reasons. Whether it be the championship, many storylines, everything else you can think of. With that said, after today we'll have 3 more rounds to go in the season, but that does not mean much when the Constructors' Championship can be clinched today. That is why it's so important to focus on this race and to see what can happen. We'll get you caught up with a couple storylines in just a moment, but first let's talk about the previous race from our league. So if you were here last week, you saw a little bit of glitches when it came to the running order and everything else with Owen, the Red Bull driver. It was very weird with how that happened. It's not the first time that that's happened, but then again, new game, same glitch. Not surprised. With that said though, Owen, you saw him finish outside the points on our running board. He actually finished second. And when we saw that glitch, we were confused. And it made sense afterwards. We had a different leaderboard than the drivers did. So the ending results were Minions and Owen. Another Red Bull 1-2, except this time it's in a different order. Ironic. Red Bull do keep their 1-2 streak alive, as I will correct myself from last week. That's their third 1-2 in a row, and that's their third 1-2 of the season. This is important because this can clinch them the Constructors' Championship today if they have a good enough race, and if Alpine or Ferrari do not perform them. We'll go over a couple of scenarios in a couple of moments. With that said, though, there weren't too many position changes compared to Belgium the previous week. Much cleaner racing. There was only 2 incidents. Sam Steed got a penalty for his contact on the opening lap that we did not catch. That's why you saw cars going off at the back, and a little bit of argy-bargy between the drivers. It was PK and Jack Miles, the other penalty. So PK left Jack Miles insignificant space heading into Sector 3, leading for there to be a 5-second penalty to PK. Now, I mean, from a commentator's point of view, is 5 seconds a little too harsh? Maybe. If you're trying to be a strict league like RPL is it fair? Yes. I'm not a steward, so I'm not going to intervene too much, but personally I would see why 3 seconds would be a better option, but I can also see why 5 seconds is also the same amount of option for that kind of incidents. 3 and 5 second incidents usually are not that far apart when it comes to those kind of incidents. However, it lost both of them time, so that's why it's important to mention that. And I think something that might have been looked at was the past of PK with a lot of contact, because there was a lot of contact with PK on the track. So that is a big thing that we'll focus on today. A lot of highlights when it came to the McLaren boys of L74G and Jack Miles. As you noticed, Jack Miles and L74G not on the result list. That is because last week they were racing for a lot of fun and no points dished out, anything else. So that is quite obvious as to why they are not on the points board compared to the other drivers who were. So if you're wondering, that is why. They made some daring overtakes last week, a lot of battling throughout the field. We saw battling at the front of the field between both Red Bulls, the McLarens duking it there as well. You saw at the back of the field a lot of battling, the 2 Aston Martins. They kept it clean this time. We saw in Spain in Tier 1, they didn't keep it clean, but the Aston Martins redeemed themselves as a team who can now keep it clean again. So just a different tier, obviously. So with that said, Minions, Owen, Jackstar, the top 3. Jackstar, first podium of the season. Big kudos to him with that result. He only had 4 points after, or before last week, excuse me. So with getting 15 points on the board from him, moves him up in the championship to about the 10th, 11th area, which is beneficial to him. Our winners from F2 and F1 last week. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Well, F1 last week, it was the Red Bulls who kind of stole the show for the race lead. We mentioned that stat on the Tier 1 stream, how the Red Bull drivers really had their chance to shine because the fact that the championship winner at the end of the season never won the Monaco Grand Prix, at least in the last 5-6 seasons. So a very big thing to focus on when it came to that race, and it really was, because you know what? You saw the end result. Skither did not win the race. So there you have it. Not only did Skither not win the race, but Skither ended up finishing on the podium, and he got damaged in the last couple of laps. We almost saw an over 15-second gap for the second consecutive week. That did not happen. Red Bull of Reese was the winner in F1 last week. Saw Lewis Piper make some gains with McLaren. And redacted on the podium for Mercedes. So last week in F2, it was Bourbon Boy winning once again for the first time this season, though. And it was Skither who won by an hellacious gap of 18 seconds. Punctures became a big question at that end of the race. It may become a question today if we have things go the right way with safety cars or the wrong way for drivers. We'll have to find out. Chat, let us know who you're rooting for today. It's good to see you all here. I think we'll get some more coming in as it's finally reached 3 o'clock, which will be around the time we launch. And the Twitch stream has now notified everybody in the Discord, so that is perfect. With that said, though, let's go over a couple of past races in Canada when it comes to not only the league itself, but specifically real life. I want to go over mainly real life. I'm not really going to go over too much of the game cycle with it. It is important to mention with the game that there are a lot of tricky sections, which we'll get to by qualifying. However, it is important to mention with real life everything that has happened in the last 15-20 years of the Canadian Grand Prix. It is a very, very historical track. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. In 2019, a famous moment with Sebastian Vettel going off the circuit and re-entering the circuit in a quote-unquote dangerous manner led to a 5-second penalty. Sebastian Vettel won that race on track. Lewis Hamilton finished second, but was awarded the win after that penalty. With that said, the previous year, Vettel won the race. Vettel had to come through the field the previous year before that in 2017. We saw Rosberg Verstappen battle in 2016. We didn't race here in 2020 due to COVID. 2014, the two Mercs had issues within the closing laps. Daniel Ricciardo won his first race here. 2008, Robert Kubica won his first race here. And many more before them. Robert Kubica had a bad crash the year before his first win in 2007. 2011, potentially one of the greatest F1 races ever, with Jenson Button coming through after a couple penalties, driving through the field late in the race, passing Sebastian Vettel. Michael Schumacher could have had a second podium. I did butcher that, by the way. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. But yeah, Michael Schumacher could have had 2 podiums when it came to his return to F1 within the 3 years he raced there. In 2012, Lewis Hamilton was the 7th different winner in a row in that amazing season. Tragedy struck at this track 10 years ago with a Marshall losing his life due to injuries in the 2013 race. We've seen drivers have cars break down in the final lap of this race before. And even around that area, we've seen some bad crashes at this track. What will we see in today's race? Give us your predictions. With that said, let's now go through the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. I think it's now time to do that. Because of the results last week, Owen leads Minions 24 points. That's the gap. between both Red Bulls. The Drivers' Championship cannot be clinched today, however, the Constructors can. The most important thing to look at in the Constructors is that Red Bull is on 265, Alpine on 110, and Ferrari on 93. Ferrari have the least likely chance to win it of anybody. Behind Ferrari is Alpine. Or sorry, in front of Ferrari, excuse me, is Alpine. It's important to mention Alpine because of the fact that they are the closest guys when it comes to keeping this Constructors' Championship alive. The gap at the end of the day needs to be 132 points. If it's Ferrari, they need to be 131 points behind. Or excuse me, other way around. If it's Ferrari, it needs to be 132 points behind in order to still have a chance. 131 for Alpine. This is because Alpine did not have a race win to back their name. Ferrari do. Ferrari are on 2 wins this season. Red Bull on 5. So all important factors to play for when it comes to this race today. Ferrari needing to gain 40 points. Alpine needing to gain 24. So all important factors to mention in this season so far. We have had 7 teams on the podium, all but 3. The 3 teams that are missing from the podium this season include Aston Martin, who have gained much pace this game compared to previous games. Another thing to mention as well is Williams and Alfa Romeo, who are on the back foot when it comes to performance this game. Alfa Romeo, they are last in the constructor standings. Williams, they've only scored 1 point within the last couple of rounds. Very big things to mention today when it comes to the Constructors' Championship, whether it's 4th through 10th, 2nd to 3rd, and 2nd to 3rd keeping their chance in hopes with the title. A big thing to mention when it comes to the Canadian Grand Prix is a ton of rain. Owen has left the session. He will get back in just a moment. That usually happens. Shanghai as well. Okay, it doesn't usually happen to 2 people. Either way, a big thing to mention when it comes to this track is rain. Rain is a big factor. We've seen it in real life, and we've seen it in the game happen. And you could see much better attendance when it comes to last week. Owen has now joined back the session. We are now waiting on Shanghai, who also needs to join back the session as well. The big thing about Owen, our championship leader over Minions, is the fact that he has only missed 1 race. And with that said, in the races that he's made, he's only not been on he's only not finished worse than 2nd in all of his starts. Amazing stats from Owen when it comes to the championship. So now some cars going on the track. Let's talk about some tricky sections when it comes to invalidating. How about turn 1 is a tricky section at this track. You see Track Racer going past turn 1. Another tricky section is turn 3 right here. Turn 4 maybe a little bit. Clipping the grass, that's a tricky section. A tricky section when it comes to invalidating, I would say, is turn 6, just because this inside curb, you don't want to hit it too much. I think if you're avoiding a wreck, it becomes more trickier when it comes to invalidating lap times. Really, there's just about every turn, or every apex, I'll say, when it comes to invalidating here. This is another one too, turn 8, turn 9 area. That orange curb, you could see it. Track Racer did it on his opening lap. Or, sorry, out lap. When it came to invalidating right there. Obviously, that will not matter. The hairpin is a tricky section, I would say, when it comes to hitting your brakes and hitting your marks. If you're following cars, you want to brake a lot earlier when it comes to that hairpin. And now, down the back straight, turn 12, and we're coming up to the speed trap of this track. Turn 13, turn 14, probably the trickiest section when it comes to invalidating. If you invalidate here, you automatically start your next lap invalid. So that's why this is so important for these drivers to get out earlier, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, to have a chance at potentially getting 2 laps in, maybe a 3rd one if they invalidate. You can see Track Racer on a lap now. Let's go on board with him and let's see what he can do in this Aston Martin. Aston Martin, one of those 3 teams that I mentioned, not scoring a podium so far this season. Aston Martin's Constructors Battle is also a very important thing to mention as well. However, first we're going to go on board and see what he can do in the first sector. 19.8 from the Aston Martin driver. Clipping these inside curbs, which is an important thing to do at this track. You have to be hugging these curbs. Welcome to the chat, everybody. Give us your predictions for pole position here in this qualifying session. Oh, you can see missing the apex right there, going wide, using the runoff. That'll be an important thing to mention today when it comes to that runoff. Re-entering the racetrack is a very important thing to mention. You could also note as well in this qualifying session, it was reminded to the drivers pre-race that you cannot cut the track to get back to the pit lane or to start a lap. So on stream, we will be watching out for that. Not only will we be watching out for that, but we will be watching out for some mistakes as we saw from Strat Racer there on his opening lap. Let's go on board with another driver who's about to start their lap. Who is about to start their lap? Valkyrie is on Inters. How about we go on board with Tadpole? Alpine had a really great result last week. Both cars in the top 5. Strat Racer obviously setting the benchmark, but is going to be beaten by Kipu. Kipu also got 4th place last week. That's happened twice now this season for him. You can see more drivers clocking on the board. With that said, we're going to go on board with Tadpole, like mentioned. 2 Alpines in the top 5 last week. A very impressive result. A very impressive help toward their Constructors' hopes. It's amazing to see Alpine be 2nd in the Constructors' Championship when you look at all the drivers who... Or, sorry, all the teams, excuse me, who have been up there and have the fast cars when it comes to realistic performance. If you're just joining us for the first time in this league, it is a realistic performance league. So that is why you see the Ferraris at the top of the board, ahead of everyone else, ahead of the McLarens, the Haas's, and then the Aston Martins. Patrick F1, the other Alpine, setting a time on the board. And Tadpole will be one of the ones coming up to the line next. Strat Racer improves his 2nd best lap. He splits the 2 Ferraris. However, you're going to see the final chicane here. You want to hit the apex. You are just going to be close to that wall of champions. That's another tricky section on this track. The wall of champions. Not as tricky as previous games. However, Tadpole will set himself 5th on the leaderboard. 2 places ahead of his Alpine teammate. Now it's time to go on board with a different driver. Oh, and our championship leader's going purple through Sector 2, 41.7. Let's see what he can do. Let's see where he can find some time. A little slide there into turn 11. 12, he goes past, and then the final 2 corners, so turn 13 and turn 14. A chicane. We have a lot of chicanes around this racetrack, as you may notice. And you can see he does that last section to perfection. Coming to the line. Oh, and your championship leader is going to cross the line. And I think we're a bit delayed here. We are a bit delayed. I'm going to need to invite back. That is exactly what happened. Okay, so there was a glitch as soon as he crossed the line. All right. Yeah, I will need to re-invite back by somebody. I think if I'm correct, he went top of the board right there, Owen did, but we'll check in just a moment. See, the thing that same happened also happened last week. It says failed to join the session. I hope it's... Oh, okay, so it's happened to everybody. The lobby fully... Oh. Okay. Not everybody, but a couple people. Excuse me right there. Alright, now I'm joining session. Okay, I see what it's doing. Alright, so some people have disconnected with that. I see. Not everyone. Okay, yeah. I noticed that. We'll get back on board with hot laps with everybody. Hopefully, this is the only time that happens today. Because unlike last week, it stuck with us for the last 10 laps like that. So, hopefully this does not happen. So those of you clicking off the stream, I hope you click back on, because I know we are going to fix this in just a moment. Let me try to come back in again. For those of you who may know, this game may be annoying a little times, but luckily it has not happened to just me in a way to where I have to join back. Okay, here we go. The second invite worked. All right, cool. Awesome. So I think only 3 other people, maybe 2, lagged out from what I noticed. Valkyrie's AI must have retired when that all happened. So we'll catch back up in the session and see what's happened from all that. Interesting stuff. So speaking of storylines, let's go over that now. This is perfect. So Leon Miner has returned from his race ban last week after his shenanigans in Spa. Like mentioned, he was involved in 4 of the 11 incidents that were reported. So that is why it's an important thing to mention. I think lagging out involved retirements from Aaron Ocon. I cannot pronounce that name. I'm so sorry. Kipu Valkyrie. I'm going to try to pronounce that name in just a moment. Is Leon in the lobby? Just so I can see the... Okay, so there's not 2 AlphaTauris in the lobby. Okay. He was scheduled to be in here. I see. So we are restarting the session, so now it's a perfect time to actually go over our storylines. Excuse me. Wow. And it is another chance to qualify, and as I previously mentioned, Owen was at the top of the board with that time. So, yep. So, lobby is open from Jack Miles. We'll join off that. WR also had the same thing happen too. Oh, okay. Thank you, by the way, in chat there. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you guys for the insight. I appreciate it. And this will be interesting because I don't know if it goes with the same weather or not. I'm going to get clarification on that in just a moment. But before I do that, we're going to talk about our storylines like I mentioned. So Leon Miner, yeah, he was scheduled to join the lobby. He is not in here today, but he comes back from his race bans after his shenanigans in Belgium. With that said, there's also 2 other storylines that are worth mentioning. We mentioned one already. That's the Red Bull Constructors Championship. They can win that today. And the big thing with them as well, yeah, EA servers are on their last legs. I agree with that one. I do agree with that about EA servers. But yeah, Red Bull do have that chance to win the Constructors Championship today. That is a very important thing to look out for, where the 2 Red Bull drivers finish, and especially not as much the Ferrari drivers because of their performances compared to the Red Bulls, but the Alpine boys, because they had both drivers in their top 5 last week. And when it comes to this week, they need to gain 24 points. They cannot afford tying in the championship because they can mathematically not win the championship based on any ties. Ferrari can have the same thing happen though. If Ferrari win the next 4 races, they beat Red Bull when it comes to ties based on the wins. So that is why this is so important for Ferrari to gain the amount of points they can compared to Alpine. Alpine don't need to gain as much, but Ferrari mathematically need to have a disaster from Red Bull in order to have a chance at this. Our last storyline is also a driver returning to RPL as well this week. How about Aaron Ocon? Let's give him a little shout out. By the way, before I'm asking any questions, you see my name. I mention every time. I'm Ryan Ocon 31. Every time coming into commentary. No, I am not related to him. I kind of stole his name at the end of 2020 there, though. I'm a fan of Esteban Ocon, so that is why. But yeah. That is exactly why I do have the name. I thought it fit perfect. It does. I've liked it since. I don't know if I'll change it, but anyway, my point being though, is in regards to him, Aaron Ocon. Why is Aaron Ocon important to today's race? Well, Aaron Ocon has not made a start in RPL since season 11 F2 back all the way in March of 2022. And that's a good, I don't know, 17 months? That's a long while it's been since Aaron Ocon's last start. So watch out to see how he does in his return. Aaron Ocon mentioned to me before today's race how he has not made many starts when it comes to this game with league racing. He wants to do a couple more league races on this game. He's not sure what he wants to do though, but he at least wants to do a couple more in this game for sure. He's not sure whether he wants to continue a full-time opportunity or not, but you know, there was a little bit of confusion pre-race between Gaggi and Aaron Ocon for the Ferrari Academy spot. Aaron Ocon was notified that that spot was exactly open for him this week. He wanted to race in RPL again, and this week he got the perfect opportunity with the Ferrari Academy. He was already previously in the Ferrari Academy anyway, but the thing is, though, is he's a reserve. So if you're a reserve in each academy, you have the Ferrari Academy, the Mercedes Academy, Red Bull, and the Alpine Academy. If you're a reserve, you are practically hoping on your drivers missing a race or a lot of unknown. You want to drive, if you have a driver who can make the race, that is the perfect sense for anybody. As you noticed last week, there was 14 drivers in the lobby. This week, there's 19. So Leon Miner, by the way, did not make the original lobby, so he's returned to this one for qualifying for the restart. This will get us to about the 4:30, 4:45 area when it comes to, if you're in the UK, it's 9:30, 9:45 area. But and nonetheless, that's where we'll get to with this restart, with everything going on. In the first session, the weather was fully dry, so we'll figure out whether or not it is any rain. We are readying up in the next minute, by the way, for those of you just wondering. So stay tuned, please. With that mentioned, let's mention the races coming up this weekend in RPL. So I'll be here for Tier 2, or sorry, F2, excuse me, tomorrow for Japan. Jeddah's the track next week, excuse me, my bad. And Tier 1 is at the same track as Tier 2 this week. They're in Canada. I will not be here for Tier 1 tomorrow. I'll be here for F2. It'll just be Titan alone tomorrow for F2. Or sorry, Tier 1, excuse me. Oh my goodness. This restart's got me going bonkers. Speaking of bonkers, is he in the lobby? Yes, he is. He's actually 4th in the championship, tied with Instincts. And look at this, now we've got a full grid on our hands because Leon did not make the first lobby. So just waiting on Sam Steed to get in his car, and then I think we're going to ready up. But yeah, as mentioned previously, we have F2 tomorrow at Japan. Next week, they're in Jeddah. Tier 1 in Canada, which is tomorrow. F2, if you have not watched before, F2 is tomorrow at 11 a.m. Well, I'm going to say 11:15 because it's really 11:15. I say it's 11 a.m., but it's really 11:15. 11:15 a.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern for Tier 1, 8 p.m. UK time. Next week is Las Vegas for us, so we're doing like a full America type of swing here, because you got Canada this week, you've got Las Vegas next week, you've got Canada for Tier 1 as well, by the way, this week, and then after Vegas, which we had Texas previously last week, by the way, and after Vegas, 2 weeks from that is Brazil, which is in South America. So a lot of interesting stuff to play for. Yeah, I could realize people such as you, Reese, getting confused there with the session at the end there of how it ended. Yeah, I guess it was a glitch for quite a few of our drivers. So we're about to get underway for short qualifying here. It is very interesting how that happened with WR as well. Give me some updates on that if they're not able to work that out, because that could affect us as well. So look at this, 20 drivers on our grid now with Leon Miner returning to the grid. Like I mentioned, he had a race ban last week, back this week. He accumulated a race ban based on the penalty points he had accumulated in Belgium. That's how much questionable driving he had on him, and he's hoping to redeem himself this week. Personally, I hope he does, but with a full grid compared to 14, 15 drivers last week, that is a sign in the right direction. Let's talk about a couple of our other drivers joining us as well for the season and driver contracts. I don't usually get the time to go out for this, but I'm going to try to pronounce this name the correct way. Bulks? I'm going to call it Bulks. He's driving for the Ferrari Academy. But due to being alone last second, he has had to retire. Because if you are in this league, and it's done differently than a lot of other leagues, if you are a last second driver, I'm going to call it a last minute driver, really a last hour driver, right? If you got your situation figured out within the last hour, you have to start from the back of the grid. This is maybe unfair to some people, but I get the reasoning. And here's why. Because if you end up joining the league 45 minutes till the race starts, or 45 minutes until the race starts, and you end up blowing at the field, winning the race, you're faster than everybody, or you had a lone happen last minute, that is exactly where that is unfair to people, or unfair to other teams. So that is exactly why. That's why in RPL, like I mentioned before during the stream, that is why figuring out everything and not having that unknown with driver lineups or teams or whatever it may be is crucial. That's why it's beneficial for these guys, the team principals, and the co-team principals as well, to figure all this stuff out when it comes to RPL and when it comes to just the races itself. So we're on board with Patrick F1 on a lap here in the Alpine. Like I said, Alpine double top 5 last week. Jack Star and Tadpole. They did a great job. Going over our lineups. Bulks is a part of the Ferrari Academy. However, due to him being alone, he's a part of McLaren today, who did not have a spot open. Wookie Warrior also signed as a Mercedes Academy reserve until the end of the F1 Tier 1 season. Excuse me, that was a little bit of a butcher right there. And Florian has reworked that contract for F2, part of Trident, which is part of that Ferrari Academy. As you see Patrick F1 almost hitting the wall at Champions. The length of that is 1 season. Frozy is signed as reserve for Alpine Academy. Invade loaned to Mercedes Academy for ART tomorrow. Cam is a part of the Ferrari Academy at Alfa Romeo in Tier 1. So those are, and let's go over the last 24 hours as well. Or sorry, I'll go 48 hours as well. That person for Campos, F2, contract there. That's a part of the Alpine Academy. Not only is that a part of the Alpine Academy, but that is a 1-season contract. And Fast Gerard has been loaned to Virtuosi on Sunday. So those are some of the recent changes when it comes to loans, contracts, everything else you need to know within the last 48 hours. We're going to watch Minions come to the line because he's just invalidated. That is not what he needed. And look what this lap would have been. It would have been an 11-0, 5 tenths ahead of his competition. Thim also retiring in the Williams as well. He's going over with Aaron Ocon in his return. He's sliding through the grass and he's going to go in the barrier and he's out. He's collected the other Alfa Romeo. That's Sam Steed. He's collided with his teammate. Aaron Ocon slid into turn 3 and collected Sam Steed. That is a Ferrari Academy disaster. Especially more an Alfa Romeo disaster. Oh my God. And I would probably pay about $5 to get in that Ferrari Academy chat right now because I do not want to know the words being said. Yikes. Let's go on board with who's about to start a lap. JTK. I've not talked about JTK in quite a bit. Used to race for Alfa Romeo not too long ago, as we documented in my first commentary debut for RPL. JTK coming through the final chicane. Let's go on board and let's analyze this lap to perfection. You're going to want to set yourself up for turn 1 on the curbs and turn 2 close to the curbs here and be in the right gears for turn 3. As you saw, he took a more submissive approach at the end of turn 2 to set himself up for turn 3 and turn 4 to just absolutely nail it. Turn 5 and now turn 6. 19.8 at the end of the first sector. That's purple. You want to clip these curbs just a little bit, not too much. If you ride them a little bit, you may end up spinning when you accelerate on them. Now, turn 8, turn 9, a very easy place to invalidate. You want to go close to that wall. Some people actually end up hitting that wall because they mistime it. And you can see that slide from JTK ends up sending him into the wall. And I don't know if he's going to back out of it, but I think he has just a little bit, and now he has. We're going to go on board with Owen, the championship leader now. Sam Steed not happy with Aaron Ocon. It's funny because I have a chat with them two in it, and with a couple others who race in RPL, or have previously raced in RPL, and neither one are happy. Aaron Ocon has basically said it's his fault, so nothing too much to worry about there on the Alfa Romeo side for now. We know whose fault that was. He slid into turn 3, and it's kind of like Vettel slide a little bit in 2019, except it actually involved the other driver on the outside this time into a collision. Owen's coming to the line now on those medium tires. What can he do? He's going to go second on those medium tires. He's going to split Tadpole and Bonkers at the top of the leaderboard. So even though he's on medium tires, it is still close to the top of the board. You have Trat Racer behind, Dad Person as well. And how about Grandpa putting his way into the leaderboard in that top 5? How about Kai now in the AlphaTauri? Kai was in a lot of battles last week in USA at Circuit of the Americas. Let's see what happens this time. Yeah, Sam Steed described it basically the way I did. Vettel and Hamilton, but worse. See, the difference with them two is Hamilton backed off and had a place to go to not cause a collision, whereas I think just the timing of that happening, Sam Steed did not have a place to go, or he really maybe sped up. I couldn't see Sam Steed's point of view, but it was either the fact that he sped up and, oh, look at this traffic. This is going to get bad. In front of Kai, he's going to have to back off. And look at this. This is 3 cars. He has definitely backed off now. They're all jockeying it out on the track, but they're all holding him up. That's the second thing that's happened that could be investigated to the stewards at the end of this session. Well, I should say the end of the race. Trat Racer now goes up to second. Going ahead of Owen. Yeah, so the thing I noticed with Sam Steed's collision, as I was saying there, is it either was a matter of Sam Steed not backing off, and unlike Hamilton did, and thinking, if I just speed up, I might get through this wreck. That could happen. Or just bad place, bad timing, no place to go, and did not have time to back off. We're going to assume Kai's going to go for another one, but how about Minions as well coming to the line right now? This is a tow from the Ferrari in front, who I believe is also on a lap. You can see traffic is absolutely crazy here. 20 drivers in the grid, and 8 minutes left, and a 70-second lap time. You bet traffic's going to be crazy. It just allowed Minions to invalidate right there. Look at that. Traffic has been crazy. Valkyrie F1 talked about battling Sam into the hairpin whilst she was on a lap. HEK's backed off this one. How about Tadpole? Tadpole's in the last sector. This is perfect. Let's watch the guy who is on top of everybody when it comes to the times. Coming out of the final corner here, he comes to start a lap. Cal is retired from the session. That's a crash. That's at turn 9. Tadpole slid, and I think Tadpole's backed off of that one. Yeah, I don't know if we got a good enough view of it when it came to the Sam point of view, but I know Sam has just sent it into our chat that we have. So, I think he sent it for everyone else to see. Yeah, not a good collision right there between teammates. Not Kai, short for Callum. Oh, okay. I see. I see. Okay, thank you for clarifying. I'm sorry about that. See, I'll have to get better with that a little bit. But hey, we're all learning, right? In a way. Maybe mainly me, right? Because it's what? This is now a month in of commentary here. Alright, so here we go. Owen, now on a lap. 7 minutes remaining in the session. And it's time for... Yeah, I never noticed that was an I. It's very weird with how this game is. I apologize for that. But anyway, let's focus on Owen's lap now. Going on board with the Red Bull driver who's now on the soft tires. He's 62 thousandths up. Gonna clip the inside curb here. Does he go for the right curb? Yes, just a little bit. Now, hitting his marks and trying everything he can to go back to the top of the board now. No, you're all good. Don't worry. You're all good. Not worried about it. Turn 8, turn 9 now. This is exactly where you couldn't validate your lap. This is where you could slide like JTK did. Luckily, Owen avoided it, and he's 5/10 up on his time. He has been the class of the field when it comes to Tier 2 this season. 24 points ahead of his teammate in the championship. Red Bull as a whole, 265 points on the board. Trying to lock up the constructors today. This is exactly where it could start with a pole position. And he could definitely clinch it right now. Coming through the final chicane, close to the wall of champions. DRS supplied, coming to the line with battery low. He's going to get into the 9s. 9-9. He is 5/10 ahead of the competition. However, Grandpa betters that. Grandpa was behind him on a lap and set a lap that's 3/10 better. So it might be a Ferrari and Red Bull battle for pole. Ferrari are trying to say, we're not done yet. We have a chance to gain maximum points and still stick ourselves in this championship fight next week in Vegas. It is very unlikely, but there still is a chance. Mathematically. And Minion's talking about his issues about invalidating and some of these shadows. Yeah, you can see they're very effective on the racetrack when it comes to areas like these. That you can see on board with Grandpa. And back toward the entrance of turn 8 and 9. Shanghai. Born in Shanghai. About to start a lap here in the Williams. Like I said, Williams have had a lack of points, but it's to no surprise with the lack of performance in their car. So, let's see what Shanghai can do. Can Shanghai get ahead of Invade? I think that's the target right now. Get ahead of Invade. Do something you can when it comes to the back half of the top 10. And I say that because he's a 10th up right now, but I say that because if there's a chance to shine, if there's some wrecks, chaos, safety cars, this is where you want to be, just outside the top 10, because if any of your competitors do so inside the top 10, then you're in prime position to get some points, which Williams desperately need in all tiers. And a couple other drivers talking about the shadows messing with them as well. However, it's not messing too much with Shanghai because Shanghai is 6/10 up in this time, and this could be a run in the top 10. Sam Steed has posted his point of view now, so this could go to the storage at this point. And look at the slipstream he's getting from the Mercedes driver right here. I don't know if the Mercedes is coming to the pit lane. He is, but this is perfect for Shanghai's lap. This could set him actually toward the top 7. This is coming to the line now. How about that? 7th place. That slipstream did pay big dividends to his lap with 4 minutes remaining. So as I go on board with Sam Steed's replay point of view, we cannot show this to the stream, but I can describe this for those of you. He was letting Aaron Ocon go into turn 3. Aaron Ocon then made the mistake. Sam backed off of it, but he would have ran into Aaron regardless, so he darted right. Oh, he locked up the brakes trying to avoid Aaron. And he had a split-second decision to make. So that is exactly what caused that collision, for those of you wondering. You may see it later in the clip submission channel. But a big moment in qualifying, which has led to the Alfa Romeo sitting at best 14th and 20th. Minions is going to take another try at this, especially because the fact that the championship could be decided next week. He's backing off now, though. I think this is to start a lap. So this is smart. No traffic in his way. He's really got no traffic to begin with now, but you want to make sure you have no traffic when it comes to guys coming out of the pit lane. Now DRS applied, and that shade did hurt him when it came to these laps. Now let's see what he can do as he starts one. Clips the grass kind of on entry. That may affect him into turn 2. You can see a little bit of the locking up right there at turn 2. Now in the exit of turn 2, gassing up quite quickly, and now about to come to the end of the sector 1 split. Turn 3 and 4 right there. Perfectly done. Turn 5, clipping the inside, 9/10 up. So this is exactly where this starts for him to get into the top 5. And a little slide there just for a moment. Not anything too big. Trying to get the slipstream off the Haas now. That came close to collision. Turn 8 and 9 now come up. Inside curbs, orange curbs. I call them for stoppers. He ended up clipping those, but ended up gaining time from that. 2 seconds up now. This would currently set him close to the top 5. Lock up there at the chicane, or sorry, the hairpin. A little slow on exit, but DRS is applied. And he's coming to the final chicane where you could easily invalidate. That was McLaren in front. Now turn 13 and 14. He just has to perfect this and not invalidate it like he's been doing to have a chance. He doesn't invalidate. He's coming to the line now. Where's this going to be? How about second ahead of his teammate? Look at this. A bad session from him has turned into a top 3 qualifying spot. How about that? That's one way to turn it around and keep yourself in this championship fight against your teammate. He gained 6 or so points last week. Now this week, he's looking to gain more. A minute remaining. If you're not on track now, you are not going to have a chance for pole position or improving your lap. Many drivers have been affected through traffic throughout the start of the session. Let's go on board with the driver closest to starting their lap. It is going to be Grandpa. Cannot invalidate at the final chicane because he cannot be able to do another lap if he doesn't validate. That is why this is so crucial to look out for with these drivers. He's trying to improve to keep that pole position. Here we go. Turn 3, turn 4 now. Inside curb. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And is pushing the limits on this track. 91 thousandths up on his time. Unbelievable. He is hugging those curbs to try to find as much time as possible on this circuit. To the inside, now to the outside there. Checkered flag is waving. He's going to try to find some time here at turn 8 and 9. A little wiggle. How much did that affect him, and is he going to improve? Oh, into the pit lane. Bonkers, minions, checkered flag for them. So if anyone's going to have anything for Grandpa, it's going to have to be from outside the top 4. Still improving by that sector split at sector 2. Valkyrie F1 improved on her lap. That's 8th place for her. The back straight now. And now, to the final chicane. He was improving 70 thousandths on his lap. He invalidates, though. But it's not going to matter, because he's currently going to keep pole position as he comes to the line. Grandpa is still on provisional pole. Behind that, Tadpole is coming to the line. Tadpole invalidated. JTK is also backed off on his lap as well. Shanghai's improving. Shanghai trying to keep a top 10 starting spot, coming to the line. That was an Alpine, I believe. That was Patrick F1 beating Shanghai. Can Shanghai clap back at this? Shanghai comes to the line. Shanghai improves, but could not get a position in further up on the grid. That person also qualifies 12th as well, improving their time, but could not improve position. So, Grandpa, by a 10th, is on pole position. We had 4 drivers within the 9s, and it was all Ferraris and Red Bulls. Ferrari trying to keep their chance of the championship alive. 40 points they have to gain. 40. This is the best way to start off with this. A 1 and 3. If they finish 1 and 3 in this order, they actually still have a chance of the championship. If both Red Bulls DNF. That's why this is so important for their race to start up front. And they've done just that. And here's your starting lineup. In that top 5, you have the 3 teams in that top 5 who need to capitalize, whether it be clinching the Constructors' Championship, whether it be staying within the fight. You have Grandpa, Bonkers, 1st and 3rd, Owen, Minions, 2nd and 4th, the 2 championship protagonists. Tadpole is 5th, trying to keep himself in it for Alpine with the Constructors. JTK, Trat Racer, Valkyrie, Patrick F1, and Shanghai are your top 10. Outside the top 10, we saw both Alfa Romeos crash. They start outside the top 10. Both AlphaTauri start outside the top 10. Only 16 drivers set a lap, and now it is time for the race to focus on everything else as well. Leon Miner having to start from the back of the grid as well. Also was outside that top 16 and did not get a lap in. And it is a complete dry race, as you notice. No cloud cover in the area whatsoever. We are just waiting for our formation lap. Drivers, engineers, spectators, get ready to have a Canadian Grand Prix that is worth the wait and worth the watch. We waited 45 minutes almost for this race. Realistically, you could say we waited a full week for this. But now with the restart, it took a little bit longer, and it is about time to get underway. Chat, give us your predictions for who you think will win this race or potentially get on the podium. Do Red Bull clinch it today? It's time to find out. Here come the 5 red lights. 5 red lights upon us. They rev it up. And we are go. It is lights out, and away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix. Grandpa Owen side by side up the line. Owen gets the traction and goes ahead before turn 1. The Minions and Bonkers, the 2 Ferrari and Red Bull drivers behind that also duking it out. At the back of the grid, drivers are finding their way through to the top of the field and switching positions as we speak. Oh, off the road goes the Aston Martin, and off the road goes the Williams there, and there's a crash. That's crucially the Alpine of Tadpole off and outside the points as well. Tadpole needing to get both Alpines ahead of the Red Bulls today to have a chance at the Constructors' Championship. Still, they do not have any help whatsoever, with their drivers being now 7th to 20th. The 2 McLarens going side by side at 15th to 16th, with Kai splitting them as well. Oh, there was almost contact. But back to the front of the field, Owen maintains that lead. That is 3/10 right there, and there's yellow flags, and that's a virtual safety car. That is for the Williams of Thim. At the back of the grid, crashed and with damage. So a little bit of a chaotic lap 1, but nothing too severe. It's obviously chaotic for the championship protagonist in the Constructors, but nothing too severe for the championship protagonist in the Drivers' Championship. And you see Patrick F1 pitting now, maybe for some damage on that opening lap, trying to avoid his teammate, I'm going to assume, as the VSC still stays out. Now it's green. Let's see the positions gained. 2 positions for Valkyrie F1, 4 for Invade, 5 for Kippu, who's also trying to duke it out with PK right here into the 3rd turn. They're going to try to go side by side here. You usually don't want to go side by side here, and PK goes ahead. Sam Steed's also getting spots in lap 1 as well. He's going to try for a point spot, pinching the Aston Martin. 4 places, trying to make it 5. Hippo stays ahead. They're going to duke it out still for 10th place. Yellow flags to the back of the field. That is Kai. However, PK has now picked up our first penalty in this race. Hippo's going to fight this back with Sam Steed as we head to the hairpin. And they stay content with where they're at right now. Here comes Kippu on the exit of the hairpin. The slipstream will play big dividends when it comes to this position. How about in front of that, Invade and Valkyrie F1 are going to duke it out for 6th place. Side by side and pinching at the chicane. There's contact. Oh, and almost into the wall Valkyrie goes, but Invade is ahead at the exit of the Wall of Champions, excuse me. Wow. That got close. And PK is on the back of them as well. You see our positions gained. Sam Steed got ahead of Kippu right there. 5 spots gained now for Sam Steed. How about back to 4, side by side at turn 3. Whoa, that got close. Sam Steed went ahead. Sam Steed, one of the drivers on soft tires. So was Kai in the AlphaTauri. However, the AlphaTauri has pitted at the end of the 2nd lap. Owen as well on the soft tires, everyone else on the medium or hards. The strategy around here, medium to hards, hard to mediums. You can go for a 2-stop, but you mainly want to do it if you have that much strategy, that much pace ahead of the field when it comes to your strategy. It is close. It's not necessarily the preferred thing. However, medium hards, hard medium is probably the safe bet. McLaren and Williams duking it out once again. This is 13th place. It's a McLaren sandwich for Shanghai right here. DRS now applied at the end of this lap. Here we go. Kippu's gaining. Backs off. Thinks better of it. Track Racer, the 2nd driver to get a penalty. And he's gone off at the chicane as well. Oh, he's going to defend his position now. And Sam Steed going to go and push him almost. That was close right there to contact. I think there was a slight bit of contact, but now it's 3 wide behind that. Sam Steed, Kippu, Bulks, all 3 wide for a moment. But it is Sam Steed who's going to stay ahead once again. And the two in front of Sam Steed have penalties. Just remember that when it comes to later in this race could potentially be decided on penalties in the later stages. Here we go. DRS applied and the run to turn 8, turn 9. However, the more crucial DRS is down to here at the hairpin. Remember, if you get DRS right here where that protection point is, you get DRS from the run to the chicane and out of the Wall of Champions corner. And we have a change in the lead. Owen ahead of Grandpa already. They were thinking about it right there with what they want to do when it comes to later in this race. Sam Steed, Bulks again. A big battle into the chicane, and oh, there was almost contact. However, the McLaren of Bulks is going to stay ahead there of Sam Steed and is now behind Track Racer for position. And pitting is Tadpole once again in the Alpine. And the yellow flags, that is, oh my goodness. I thought that was our race leader for a moment, but it's Thim getting lapped, and he is now retired on track. And there's a crash. There's a crash between the Williams and Aston Martin of Bulks and Strat Racer. They were battling previously for position just inside the points, maybe outside the points, but now it's caused our first safety car. And I'm going to say right now, I think it's very inexcusable what Thim did right there. You cannot retire on track. I know no one got collected in that, but I've been a victim of drivers retiring on track before by pausing and clicking retire and doing it like that. You have to go to the pit lane to retire because you can cause some serious crashes from something like that, and it's very, very dangerous. However, Sam Steed was involved in that crash as well because he's got front wing damage. The second accident of the weekend. Grandpa now pitting already for mediums. Also pitting Invade, Valkyrie, PK as well in the mix of the drivers pitting. Sam Steed easily going to have to pit with that damage. Shanghai as well. Kippu. So we have half the field pitting and half the field not. Interesting. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So while we're at it, we're going to take a little break. But before we take a little break under the safety car, we have to talk about that start. My goodness. Nothing too major, but Owen got the lead off the line. Absolutely muscled the Ferraris, making sure that it will be Red Bull who clinched the Constructors title today. But 3 drivers out within a lap. That is a little worrisome, I will say. However, Owen now the only driver on the soft tires. As we stand, those soft tires can go a good 15 laps, but it's a good 9 to 10 laps before they start to drop off in pace. So we will take a focus on this restart if they do drop off and what that performance is like in comparison to his teammate and the Ferrari rivals as well. Speaking of that, one of the Ferraris did pit. That was Grandpa. If you're continuing to watch RPL throughout the weekend, make sure you tune in for Tier 1 tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK, and F2 as well at Japan at 11:15 a.m. Eastern and 4:15 p.m. UK time. It's the same track for Tier 1 as it is Tier 2 this weekend. Not the same for F2. So if you are tuning in for the first time, or a returning viewer, or someone who watches weekly, make sure you tune in for those this weekend. F2 will have a stream. Tier 1 will also have a stream. However, I will not be joining Titan this week as I will not be home in time for the full Tier 1 event. So there will be no point for me to commentate that, as we have a position trade under the safety car. I think that's Invade and Valkyrie. And I think Invade's going to try to give that spot back and has a bit of damage, and he's got a 5-second penalty. That's exactly why. He's collided with Aaron Ocon under the safety car. So something must have happened between them two as Tadpole makes another trip to the pit lane once again. It's been a disaster for Alpine The 24 points that they need to gain in Red Bull, it's not going to happen at this rate if they keep having trouble with both their cars. It's different if one of their cars, let's say, won the race. A very unlikely scenario with Red Bulls, Ferraris who usually win in Tier 2 here. Red Bull having 5 of the wins, Ferrari having 2. But with that said, the thing with that, though, is, yeah, very unlikely for the Alpines to win. But if they do at the end of this, which would be absolutely miraculous, as Invade comes to the pit lane to repair that damage. With the Ferraris, or sorry, the Alpines, excuse me, if one of them wins the race and Red Bull finish outside the points, then they still have a chance. But at the rate they're going, and at the rate, if we're being realistic here, they need to get both cars in the points. They cannot have only one car in the points at the end of the day without Red Bull scoring, by the way. That's without Red Bull scoring. And remember, Red Bull has won quite many races this season when it comes to the difference in wins. They've got 3 1-2s now. They're running 1-2 right now, in fact, by the way. And not only do they have 3 1-2s to their name as well, but the factor for Red Bull that we have to look out for is they haven't lost a race since round 2 at Monaco. Ferrari won the first opening 2 rounds, and Red Bull have not been off the podium this season. So you're going to need an unlikely scenario for Red Bull to not win the Constructors' Championship today for sure. Safety car coming in at the end of this lap. We'll take a quick break for 15 seconds here before the safety car does finally reach the pit lane. And back on the gas we go. Restart underway. Owen leads the field with his soft tires that have been on his car for 8 laps now. Unbelievable that he's the only driver on the soft tires. And out of the guys who were on the soft tires, they've either had to abandon it or simply they chose to pit for strategy purposes, as Aaron Ocon is the second driver now in this race, or at least still in this race, to have a penalty to his name. Behind that, we have battling Grandpa now also on those new tires with the mediums, getting them up to temperature, passing JTK, getting ahead of him. Now Aaron Ocon is under pressure. He's got passed by PK. He's sliding now, and he's got Shanghai for company. Shanghai ducking out to the right, now ducking to the left. Oh, he does not know which way Shanghai is going to go, and Shanghai does not know which way he's going to go as well, because he going right, he going left, and now he's going to go right out of the chicane, and he has space to make this move now. Right side of Aaron Ocon, out of the chicane. Or sorry, the hairpin, excuse me. Still battling for P9 as we see up in front. Grandpa, Bonkers, they traded spots, the 2 Ferrari teammates. Now, Aaron Ocon still following suit because Shanghai has overtaken him. Oh, that got close between him and Kipu. Kipu ducking out for the move as well. And Bates now picked up a penalty with that too. Oh, and Aaron Ocon have to go wide. Kipu gets a spot. MC, his teammate, gets a spot. They've all figured itself out in the back half of the field. However, the battle up in front still continues. This is important. We did not catch the overtake between Grandpa and Bonkers. However, we may catch this overtake between Grandpa and Minions because Grandpa's on the fresher tires with Minions, and the Red Bulls are under attack now from the Ferraris now. Here's Grandpa, the first Ferrari, to go down the inside. They're going to go side by side to turn 8 and turn 9. However, Minions thinks better of it. And now, next on charge for Grandpa is your race leader, Owen, who is still stayed out on the soft tires. Now, this is where the time the drop-off comes with those soft tires. He's going to have to pit soon. And if he does pit, what does he go for? Does he go for mediums? Does he go for hards? Does he try to extend those mediums? 25 laps, very unlikely, but can be done. If you have safety cars, by the way. Which he's maybe thinking of extending to a 1-stop with how long he stayed out right now. Down the inside, here we go. Side by side at turn 2, Kippa with a penalty around the outside. That Ferrari's got the traction with the newer tires. Owen slides. However, your new race leader is Grandpa with those new fresher tires, and we got a battle for 6th place heating up. Minions gets a penalty. That's 3rd place. That is crucial when it comes to the end of this race with the championship protagonist, whether it be constructors, drivers. Shanghai now gets a penalty. It is penalty galore on the racetrack right now, with many drivers picking up penalties. Aaron Ocon, you just saw at the end of that, picked up a 2nd penalty to his name, now outside the points. Invade, Tadpole also swapping spots as we watch the front of the field. Bonkers now in the back of Minions, who picked up that penalty. And why this is important between Minions and Owen is the gap is 24 points. As things stand with them two, oh, we got yellow flags. That's Patrick F1 into the barrier, and he's got damage. Well, while that was happening, Bonkers had passed Minions, and now Minions, who has the DRS, both of them having the DRS, trying to re-overtake Bonkers for position for what would be the podium spot. However, that penalty at the expense of it would be applied at the end of the race, meaning it would be Bonkers' podium, a double Ferrari podium. It's been a while since that's happened. And the reason being for those 1-2s. Minions still holding suit for 3rd place right now, with the penalty as mentioned. Aaron Ocon, Patrick F1 heading into the pit lane. Alpine have had a disaster of a race. That person picks up a penalty. We have multiple drivers on the racetrack with penalties. It may be who does not have a penalty when it comes to finishing inside the top 5 or the top 10 at the end of today. Valkyrie F1 behind his teammate JTK, or behind her teammate, excuse me, JTK right here into turn 8 and turn 9. You saw that slide from Valkyrie, and JTK almost got ran into by Valkyrie as well. Heading into turn number 8. However, the lead, the top 4, they all stay put. All within DRS, all battling it out still. Owen still yet to pit. Those soft tires, I know the drop-off is lap 9 to 10, but you know, if he wants to, he can go to lap 15 and make sure that those mediums that he goes on eventually do end up being the preferred tire if he's going for a 1-stop. That's assuming he's not going for a 2-stop in this race, as JTK is DRS'd on the main straight, is not close enough, though, for an overtake to be made. Behind that, though, there is an overtake with Leon Minor and Invade into the final chicane. Here's Leon Minor getting switched back from Tadpole, and Tadpole is in an AlphaTauri sandwich. However, Tadpole does go ahead, but Leon Minor gives Tadpole a little tap in the rear. Tadpole does hang on to the car, though. However, Leon Minor will let his teammate Kai go and battle for position. Aaron Ocon now has 9 seconds worth of penalties, and we do have a safety car on the racetrack. Aaron Ocon has got some damage, and that is exactly what has caused the safety car, because he is missing an entire front wing. That is our 2nd safety car, and if you include our VSCs, that is our 3rd stoppage to the race. And PK's left the session. That's 8th place on our board right now, lagging out. We will get PK and invite back. I cannot invite back because it was cross-platform. Someone will have to do that. And we see some pitters, by the way, under the safety car. This is important to mention. Owen got his pit stop done and out of the way, and I was correct about that. Going on to the medium tires, and Aaron Ocon has got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the speeding under the safety car. And if it was not bad enough already, it has gone to absolute shambles for Aaron Ocon. Owen electing to go to the medium tire, Bonkers to the mediums, Minions to the hards, Grandpa to the hards, going for the safer strategy. Remember, these mediums go 20 laps with the safety car. This is perfect for those mediums to last the full race. All right, let me see if we have PK through the RPL. Oh, Aaron Ocon has crashed out. Under the safety, sorry, that's not a crash. That is a retirement in the pit lane. Excuse me. His race has gone from bad to worse, like I mentioned, with the drive-through, with the 9 seconds of penalties. Just absolutely horrid. I do not have PK through PC. Or I should say through EA, excuse me. So if someone in the lobby can do that, it'd be perfect. Because I cannot invite unless it's through EA. Now the question I have right here is Minions lagged out or what? Because this is an AI of Minions right now, ghosted. Which worries me because we saw the same thing last week where the card was ghosted, but Minions was still in the session. Alright, there we go. PK's back in the session. Good. Good, good. I wonder with Minions, do I quit to main menu now and try to fix this or not? I think I should, just in case it's the same thing as last week. I'll join back the session once again, but a lot happening in the race when it comes to strategies. We have a couple drivers at the front of the field, the protagonists on the mediums, and a couple of them on the hards. That's why this is so important to look out for. If there's another safety car as well, it's also very worthy to look out for. Do any of these guys make a late pit stop and go for the softs by the end? If there's a safety car at the end. There's a lot of things still to play for in this Canadian Grand Prix, and we're not even halfway. So let's join back the session. Thank you for the invite, Jack. With that said, yeah, I want to make sure that glitch was not going to happen last week. I wanted to be 100% secure and content with not having that same thing happen. Because if it did, I'd be a little bit worried right now. Here we go. Joining back the session. And we should be back in the session by the time that the safety car does come in. So Aaron Ocon's return to RPL did not go the way it wanted to, or the way he wanted it to, excuse me. March of 2022, that last start at Spa in F2 in Season 11. That is how long ago it was. And it clearly has not gone the way he anticipated it to go. Alright, why does it show Sam Steed in the lead? He's not in the lead. I'm gonna hope this fixes itself here. I think it will. I think it will. There we go. Yay. I'm curious to know now, is Miss genuinely lagged out or not here? That's what I'm curious to find out. Because if not, we might have a repeat of USA, and if that's the case, I'm a bit worried. However, the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. Let's look at our leaders. Valkyrie stayed out, PK stayed out, Shanghai stayed out. Everybody has pitted once in this race already, so no worry with that. However, different tires at the front of the field. Valkyrie leads the safety car in. She chooses when she wants to go. I guess there's a position swap. I don't know if Minions is still in the session or not. I'm gonna ask one of the Red Bull guys if Minions is, but here we go. Back underway. When Valkyrie chooses to go. And she's waiting all the way to the start-finish line almost. Out of the chicane. Here we go once again. It was a long time, but Grandpa had to wait a long time to pass Shanghai before the start-finish line almost. And Owen ducks out making the move as well. Oh, and almost gets off the road, and he does go off the road because he had to avoid Shanghai there at the exit. It's 3 wide. This is going to go disastrous. If they keep it this way, we've got a retirement from Patrick F1. However, the 2 Ferraris get out of Owen from all that, and now we're under the safety car once again. Oh, just absolute disaster there on the restart. Another safety car. And this now means Alpine, you got to rely on Tadpole now. to have a chance at this Constructors' Championship still. And very beneficial for second place in the Constructors too, with their battle with Ferrari. And a big thing being mentioned from these drivers as well, leaving gaps under safety cars. That's what Kipu in the back of the grid is having the biggest problem with. And you can see the frustration in the drivers chat if you are a part of the RPL server. Does anybody from the top half pit now? Valkyrie stays out, but PK does pit. And so does Shanghai and Invade. I wonder if Invade got any damage or he is getting off of these medium tires. And it is going to be the hard tires, actually used hard tires for... Okay, so it is correct. He is not in the session for minions. Okay, good. Wanted to make sure we're having the same thing happen, I guess, with that, because last week that was bad. Okay, thank you. You know, I just want to be 100% with that, because if for some odd reason we have the same thing happen as last week, I do not want that to ruin the call for the Constructors' Championship as well, or the drivers. Because last week we thought originally the gap was down to single digits, and it really wasn't, because it was a glitch. Out of those guys pinning PKs on the mediums, Shanghai on the mediums, Invade back on old hards, and Sam C gonna still have the chance of this at the back of the grid. Same with Kai as well. Kai on older medium tires, Sam on new medium tires. It is all to play for, but nobody going for the softs, which is to no surprise, because it is not going to last unless you're in the last 10 to 15 laps of this race. Or less. But Valkyrie still leads the restart, and we saw both Ferraris got ahead of Owen right there when it came to that battle with Shanghai. Shanghai was very jittery when it came to the restart. Shanghai didn't know which way he wanted to go. Shanghai, you saw right there at turn 2, you could see where it was exactly, where Owen had to dip his wheels, his left wheels, under the grass due to the fact that he didn't know which way he was going to go, and that allowed both Ferraris to get ahead of him. And that's exactly what Ferrari actually need to knock Red Bull off the podium for the first time this season. They've been on podium with at least one car. If you are still tuning in, tell us who you think will win the race, and tell us what your thoughts on the race are so far. I have an idea. Let me see if it works. Safety car is in, so I gotta make it quick. But let's try something here. Do I have the settings to do so? Give me just a moment, guys. By the way, Tier 2 next week at Vegas. That'll be my first race commentated there. I've never commentated at Vegas so far. I'm gonna have a ton of fun with that. That track is badass. Safety car will win at this race, says Lando Norris. Well, let's see how many more safety cars we do get. When does Valkyrie go? Valkyrie went out of the chicane last time. A little sudden break in there from Valkyrie. However, she chooses to do the same thing again. The Ferraris are waiting for her to go, and it's caused a little bit of a stack up behind that between Leon Minor and PK, also trading spots there at the conclusion of the safety car. However, we're back underway. The Mercedes driver leads the way and potentially going to help her teammate with JTK get through the field. You can see a little bit of touching there between Bonkers and Valkyrie from rear gearbox to front wing. Valkyrie still maintaining the lead with cars following in a train behind that. Oh, and ducking out. He's going to go to the inside. It's going to be side by side here at turn 5 and 6 and 7 now. Owen now waiting in the wings, waiting for the move to be made. Here's in front of that, Bonkers on Valkyrie. Can Bonkers get by and find some way through on Valkyrie before he gets challenged from Owen and Grandpa behind? Here's Owen challenging Grandpa, and here's Bonkers to the outside challenging Valkyrie. Valkyrie got a pinch of the hairpin. Behind that, you have Grandpa and Owen also trying to trade spots as well. Owen's still holding his nose in there as well, but here comes the slipstream from Bonkers to the back of Valkyrie, trying to make the move before the chicane. And they're still all trying to figure out their positions and where they want to be in this race, with Valkyrie holding the lead for now. Leon there and PK, they traded spots. Grandpa, you see a penalty to his name. That's crucial for this race. Yellow flags. Bonkers down the inside. And Grandpa and Owen side by side as well behind that. As they still battle the wheel to wheel, Bonkers gets ahead of Valkyrie and the new fresh tires around the outside, gets the move done. Easy pass right there. Here we go, side by side at turn 3. JTK had a dat person, the McLaren, trying to sneak his way into the top 5 mix. And Owen also got by ahead of Grandpa, as we may have missed out on that. But Bonkers with those new medium tires, getting out to already almost a second lead over Owen, who's now charging on the move down the inside of Valkyrie. Gets the move done. Here's Grandpa trying to make the move as well. It is all kicking off as you see Kipu and Tadpole battling for position as well. There's contact made. That was Valkyrie and Grandpa. There's more touching. They're banging still. RG Bargy for 3rd place right here. Valkyrie still staying ahead. She is not going to give it up. She is trying to help out her teammate JTK and also trying to help her race as well when it comes to banking on safety cars. Well, Valkyrie went wide there. It's going to allow Grandpa to get alongside and get ahead for 3rd place. Valkyrie's not going to give it up, though. Valkyrie's going to go around the outside. They touch! They touch again! And that's Big Grandpa into the wall with Valkyrie with a penalty. And that's our 3rd safety car of this race. Excuse me, that's our 4th, I think. Yeah, that was inevitable. Valkyrie, I don't know if she should have stuck it in there and kept a spot or not, but that's exactly what happens at turn 1 when you don't figure out who's going to be in what spot. And that's the end result. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Well, Shanghai to the pit lane. Soft tires for Shanghai. This can go the rest of the race, however, the absolute wear on those tires will be dead by the end. And let's find out if any of our top contenders pit in this race. Bonkers is the first one, and Owen follows suit. Valkyrie as well. So this is exactly the safety car that Valkyrie needed to be in the mix. However, the stewards are going to have to investigate that incident without a doubt with Valkyrie and Grandpa. I don't know if Valkyrie should have kept her nose in it or not. I really don't think she was enough alongside by turn 1. She was trying to fight it back after her mistake at the end of the Wall of Champions corner in the chicane. And it just was not going to work. I get you want to fight for your teammate with JTK and fight for every position at the expense of every lap. And Valkyrie is one that does not give up any places. And this is exactly what happens when it costs you. A potential stewarding report on you and a potential unknown of where you're going to finish now because of that incident. And you can see medium tires from JTK. I don't know if Kipu stayed out as well as Invade. I did not see there fully, but most of the field who pitted went for the soft tires. Owen and Bonkers on the mediums. So this is going to get interesting here in this race. And Minions, by the way, who was not in the session, staying out, as well as Leon Miner and PK giving themselves a chance to fight at the front of the field. AlphaTauri for, Leon Miner for AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri already have a podium this season to their name. They're trying to add more to their name. Haas already have a podium. The only teams who don't are Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, and Williams, who still have one car left in this race, and the other ones are both out. Let's put up a poll in this chat. How about that? I don't know if they're gonna be okay with that, the admins and everyone else, but how about this? Take a look at the, oh, never mind, it says error. Well, we'll wait. Nope, error. Come on. I was gonna set up a poll for you guys, so you don't have to just answer through the chat. That's annoying. It's not working. That's no fun. Make sure you stay tuned with the RPL Twitch as well under these safety cars. If you are not following, give us a follow already to see some of the action, whether it be Tier 2 on Fridays, F2 on Saturdays, and Tier 1 after F2 on Saturdays. So, if you're not following, now's the time to do so. And it does become the question of where do both Red Bulls finish? Because with Minions lagged out and not returning to the session for the last 10 plus laps, their 1-2 streak comes to an end. If that's the case, if he does not return. Remember, last season, Red Bull missed out on the Constructors' Championship with Mercedes. Mercedes ended up winning the Constructors' Championship. But with the addition of it being renamed to Tier 2 from originally F1.5, Red Bull's only lost the championship twice. They're going to make sure today that that does not happen ever again, with 11 laps remaining on this restart. And it is PK in control of this restart for Haas. Leon Minor following. PK has a penalty at the expense of this. Leon Minor somehow has kept it penalty free, and PK went very early right there. Bonkers ahead of Minions already. However, the question might be, will that spot have to be given up? Kai, a penalty on his name already. You can see 5 drivers without any penalties. Oh, and ahead of the ghosted teammate, JTK with a penalty as he follows Valkyrie. Leon Minor gets overtaken from Bonkers as well as Valkyrie got ahead of Minions too. They all follow in the US train behind PK, who is out to a second lead already from that crazy early restart. And Leon Minor on Valkyrie. This is going to be side by side at turn 6 if they don't be careful. It's Valkyrie F1 who's ahead. JTK now battling Tadpole as well, and a lot of other drivers duking it out, switching positions, finding where they want to be, and finding their chance at points in this race, and potentially a podium. You saw a little bit of contact with that person, Leon Minor. You can see Tadpole to the right side as well as JTK. Leon Minor sends it and almost sends that person into the wall. And here comes Invade through that. Invade's 3 wide. That person ducking out. They're 3 wide once again. They're 2 by 2 by 2 as they head to the chicane. Leon Minor ahead now with no penalties. Tadpole behind, and they're going to be side by side of the chicane. There was a bit of touching between, I believe that was the Haas and Ferrari. Grandpa can't sneak his way through in the fresher soft tires to have his chance to go to the front of the field. Side by side once again, JTK and Invade. The lead has changed. Bonkers is ahead of PK now, and Owen's following suit. Grandpa and Leon make contact for 6th place. Leon is struggling now. Leon's getting passed now by the Mercedes. Now by the McLaren is duking to the inside. Now the Haas wants his chance of Invade. Invader on the outside. Kippu and Sam Steed following suit as well. And down the inside, Leon is going to go on the Aston Martin. That's got close, and Sam tried to sneak his nose in there as well. And I think there's a bit of carbon fiber coming off of one of these race cars in this battle. And it's the AlphaTauri. That's Kai. Oh, and Leon is just squeezed Kippu into the wall. That got close between the both of them, but Kippu's ahead of Leon and still ahead of Sam. And Kai also wanting his fair share at this as well. Kai has a penalty at the expense of that, but Sam and Leon don't. They're in 12th and 13th. This could be big for this race. Oh, almost under the walls, Leon. And Sam as well got squirrely and out of shape as well. And that's Tadpole being overtaken by Grandpa. As you saw, that was a position swap in front of them, I think between Grandpa and Tadpole, I don't know who it was. Someone swapped places before that we missed out on during all that battling, but less than 10 laps remaining. Find your chance at points. Find your chance at the podium. Find where you're going to be now. Yeah, it is not letting me set up a pole. However, Valkyrie ahead of PK now. PK with the penalty and on the older tires. Gonna get back in Valkyrie maybe? No. Gonna think of it. You can see the difference with medium tires, fresh medium tires, worn medium tires, soft tires. You see at the back of the field with Leon and Minions. It's a Red Bull outside the points. That 1-2 streak is over for them, at least consecutively. Yeah, will not let me put a poll in the chat. I'll figure out what to do with that, but either way, Invade has now got a penalty as well to his name. So, pitting is Kai, and that is probably for the front wing damage that we saw picked up at the exit of turn 9, I think. PK's got a penalty now again. It's just constant penalties trying to keep up. Look at this. 3 seconds, 6 seconds, 9 seconds to their name. Let's look who's got the fastest lap. It's Owen in the Red Bull. If they want to win the Constructors' Championship today, they have a lot easier ground to do so now. However, oh, PK slides, gives up a position to Grandpa, Tadpole, and now it's about to be JTK. JTK in the back of him, almost contact. And around the outside, PK shuts the door right there, stays ahead. In front of that, PK and DRS of Tadpole, Grandpa and DRS of Valkyrie for that podium spot. However, just remember, penalties could play a big expense of that with them guys having 3 seconds. Could potentially pick up 6 seconds soon here. All will be factors at the end of this race. As you see, JTK now ahead of PK. Double Mercedes top 6 potentially today. Invade also following Kipu down the main straight. DRS applied. However, no position swap between them. Sam Steed as well. He's one to focus out on as well because 6 seconds from Invade in front of that. And he is just behind Shanghai. So he might have his first chance at points since his podium at Imola earlier in the season. He's had a rough stretch of races. He's trying to rebound from that. So Owen with the fastest lap. Again, that's going to pay big dividends when it comes to our championship gap if things stay the way they are currently. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Grandpa down the inside of Valkyrie. This is for the podium. Looking for a Ferrari double podium. He gives him the squeeze. Or her the squeeze, excuse me. Grandpa still hanging around the inside. Valkyrie around the outside with the DRS. Is Grandpa gonna get ahead due to the DRS and where he was the detection point? That's third place decided. As I was saying, oh, Kai is retired from the session. I think that's on the racetrack. I think that's a retirement on track. Yes, it is. And Sam Steed, Shanghai, side by side at the final chicane. Shanghai gets the exit, trying to make a move on Sam Steed now as we enter turn 1. We've now got 14 runners left in this race with 6 laps remaining. I was gonna say with the as PK picks up a penalty, we have all but as Sam Steed did pick up a penalty not too long ago. We have all but 3 drivers with a penalty in this race, and none of them are gonna change positions as we stand. None of them. None of them who have no penalties will gain positions. Here's Tadpole on the back of Valkyrie. Once again, these two have had so many battles. They've been close to each other so many times previously in previous races. Here's Tadpole ducking to the inside. Gonna give the squeeze, it looks like, at the hairpin. Valkyrie gonna hold her on the outside. Valkyrie won't have the DRS, however, Tadpole will. And here's JTK following suit as well. Ducking out. You can see Valkyrie, you can see JTK. Valkyrie being passed 2 and 1. Behind that person ahead of PK. And Owen, crucially, has a penalty in this race. So if he wanted to have a chance at winning this race, he's not going to do so. But remember, in Owen starts this season, he has not finished worse than second. He's only missed 1 race. So an impressive stat may continue with the Constructors' Championship at hands. One hand on the trophy, waiting for the second. That gap in the championship that I was just about to talk about is PK picks up another penalty. That's 15 seconds on penalties. The gap in the championship, as I was about to mention, okay, so Owen had fastest lap right there. Does he still have it? Yes. Minions is outside the points. He's going to finish outside the points as we stand, especially with lagging out too. But as we speak of that, that's 19 points to Owen's name. He's 24 points ahead of Minions in the championship. That's a 43-point gap, and sliding sideways as Tadpole JTK's gonna go ahead, and Valkyrie wants her chance at it too. Here's Valkyrie around the outside on Tadpole, who, by the way, did not have the DRS right there and is in no man's land heading into the chicane. And out of the chicane as he gets a little bump, Valkyrie does. Or she gets a little bump. Tadpole was the one who gave her a bump, as we now have 4 laps remaining on the cards. Behind that, Invade and Kipu on the main straight. Invade down the inside, a little tap right there. Kipu on the inside line. It's Invade ahead. And now after his teammate, who is on the same amount of tire length that he is. 1.5 seconds come down to 1.6. Bonkers is the only driver inside the top 13 who does not have a penalty in this race. It is absolutely amazing that that's the case. And I know Leon Miner is known for destructive driving, but exclude the destructive driving from today. The fact he's one of 2 drivers finishing this race without a penalty deserves some credit. I say some credit, emphasized, because Leon is known for them collisions. The penalties, usually that would come with it, but it's not today. Leon has at least kept it on the track. He might not have the pace. He might have been in a couple of collisions and a bit of hairy moments, but the thing is, though, is he's kept it on the track. So an improvement from Belgium with Leon. And Valkyrie F1, another penalty to her name, so that's going to make a big change when it comes to 5th place in this race, with Tadpole following suit. 1 Alpine in the points, and I can safely say their Constructors' Championship hopes are absolutely over. The only team who has a chance at the Constructors' Championship at keeping it alive still with 3 laps remaining is the Ferraris, who will run 1 and 3, and that is exactly what they need to do regardless of what Owen does. Let's say Owen finished 11th with no fastest lap, no points, crashed out, I don't know, just some example. Ferraris finishing 1-3 is exactly what they need to keep themselves in it. And by that, they've done everything they've had to today. They've had better performances today than they've had in the last couple of weeks, honestly. The 2 teammates are now close at Haas. Oh, going off the road is Invade. A slide from PK. It's going to allow Kipu, who's been waiting in the wings for a long time now, to think of which way he wants to go, as Invade is around the outside and going to pull it around the outside and make the move complete. And, by the way, Invade and PK do not have DRS. Kipu does on both of them. 1.3 that lead is down to. Here's Kipu side by side at the chicane. Locks up. A little bit of touching with the rear. Now they're about to go wheel to wheel into turn 1. We saw what happened with Valkyrie. However, it stays clean and they backed out of it there. Both of them did. Both of them backed out and both of them figured out their ground. 1.3 that gap is now at the front of the field. And the last time we had seen a Ferrari 1-2 when it comes to Tier 2, gosh, you have to go a long way back. Or not Ferrari 1-2, sorry, excuse me. A Ferrari double podium, my bad. How long do you have to go back is my question now, Jesus. Last season. That's how long ago it was. And it was in Japan. Wow. Okay then. So we reached the final lap now. Bonkers leads and is the only driver inside the points without a penalty. Tadpole still following suit with Valkyrie for this battle for 4th. However, we'll see what happens. Kipu ahead of Invade. And still duking it out here. Now, you did mention that to me, how it was round 7 Japan last season, Titan. But the thing is, That was a 1-2. Right now they run 1-3 as we're about to come to the final portions of the track, with the gap being 1.1. Red Bull look to seal the Constructors title. They have a 155-point gap over Alpine, 172 gap over Ferrari when entering this race, and it's about to be amazing. Tadpole still duking out with Valkyrie. Might be a little too late for wheel-to-wheel action. Ferrari have not won since the opening 2 rounds of the season. Bonkers comes to the final chicane, and he's going to deliver Ferrari their 3rd win of the season, and it will be double podium for them for the first time since last season. Red Bull will win the Constructors' Championship. Last season, they were denied of it. Now, they say for the 2nd time that no more. It is not going to happen anymore with them. Mercedes were the only other team to steal it from them previously. Now, Red Bull, after a season where Mercedes stole it last season, win it again, making sure it does not repeat itself once again. And we have a crash. That's PK. PK's out at the chicane there. And Sam Steed's going to get points over Invade. Sam Steed back in the points again in RPL for the first time since Imola. And Minions is going to cross the line 11th, where although it's not points for the 2nd Red Bull, it is the Constructors' Championship for them on a day where they don't have 2 cars on the podium and their 1-2 streak comes to an end. They have something to be happy about nonetheless. They have absolutely done amazing. Anytime you're in RPL, you see a Red Bull who has a chance to win. With any driver that comes to their academy, comes to their car, they always deliver if they're a part of Red Bull. And they've done that as a team this time, clinching the championship with 3 races to go. Red Bull seal the deal. That will be the headline from this race today. A lot of safety cars, a lot of incidents where you have to question yourself, stewards. You have to intervene in a moment like this. However, I don't think they're going to intervene in Red Bull's Constructors' Championship and taking it away, as Owen, once again, still keeps that streak alive of not finishing worse than 2nd. He extends his gap at the top of the championship to 43 points over Minions. What a day to be a Red Bull, or a part of that Red Bull Academy. The Constructors' Championship is theirs again. They have made sure that exact thing that happened last season with Mercedes taking it from them does not happen again. They do not want history repeating itself, and they have showed just that this season so far. Here are your final results. Your podium sitters ended up actually finishing on the podium from the top 3 where they started, just in different order. Bonkers, Owen, Grandpa, a double Ferrari top 3. Double Ferrari podium. First time since round 7 at Japan last season. JTK, Tadpole, Valkyrie, Dat Person, Kippu, Sam Steed, Invade your points position runners. How about that? And Sam Steed was also close to stealing one on Kippu as well when it came to points. Here are your final results. Red Bull have the day that they could ask for, honestly. I really hope I caught a lot of overtakes from everybody, honestly. A lot of good overtakes, a little bit of contact with them. I know there's going to be some stewards who have to intervene with certain incidents, but I don't think, the safety car aspect of it, I think, was a lot worse when you compare it to the contact with drivers. I think it was a little bit sketchy, but when you talk about the safety cars, I think that's the more questionable thing that needs to be talked about with some of these drivers. Why is there so many safety cars for just losing your front wing? Everyone seemed to keep it on the track for the most part. I know the penalties do show a different perspective, but most people did nonetheless, because most drivers had only 3 seconds of penalties, and most of them happened while they were in a battle. So a lot of things to focus on when it came to the penalties, and not only the penalties, but the contact as well. A lot of it kicked off, but Red Bull, I'm telling you, all the drivers they've had part of their team, they've done absolutely fantastic. They deserve the credit they do in this league. How many Constructors' Championships has Red Bull not won? That is what we have to look at. They do it again. They make sure what happened with Mercedes last season is a thing of the past. And if it is a thing of the past, how many in the future can they go to win? Whether it be Tier 1, Tier 2, and how many could they have won already if they did not have the Mercedes intervene last season? A lot, all to play for. And the rest of the season, whether it be the Drivers' Championship, which actually can be clinched next week. Funny enough. What needs to happen if things stand the way they do? The gap is 43 points. What needs to happen is Owen needs to outscore Minions by 9 points, I believe. And Owen will win that championship. I believe he'll probably need to only outscore him by 8 if it's due to ties. It's either 8 or 9 points, but it all depends on ties. Ferrari, who have not won since the opening round, kudos to them today. I know they did not have the Constructors' Championship hopes, so they wanted to keep themselves in it. They've had, honestly, a disappointing season if you're being passed by Alpine, but Alpine has been a breakout team too. They've been consistent with at least one car in the top 5 numerous times, or top 6 if they're not getting top 5. So with Ferraris being up there and finishing well, they're going to move ahead of Alpine, surely. No doubt about it. The Drivers' Championship is now the focus, now that the Constructors' Championship is the one that's over. 43 points. Yeah, need to gain either 8 or 9 points. That will be the focus of the next couple of races. And now we can look at it from a perspective where there's no Constructors' Championship that Red Bull need to worry about, that Ferrari need to worry about keeping themselves in. Ferrari need to worry about second though now. Alpine need to worry about second now. Alpine actually has a really good chance at getting second. Ferrari were strong at the beginning parts of the season. They lost that kind of mojo they had. Alpine gained a lot of mojo they had. They had the double top 5 last week. They didn't have a great race this week, but for at least one of those cars after the race they had with both drivers to get inside the top 5, that is a good comeback from them. And if I had to give a driver of the day, you know, as much as they did not win the Constructors' Championship, how about the whole Ferrari team? Not to boast about them too much, but they really have made the turnaround this week to prove that we're back to our winning ways that we were at the beginning parts of the season. We have a chance. We have a legitimate chance to take second back from Alpine in the Constructors' Championship. We can hang on. Now that the Constructors' Championship is sealed and the deal's done, well, now we can fight for race wins now. We have that monkey off our back that we had. They deserve the credit, and they ran really good today. They were ahead of Owen at quite a few stages in the race as well. So a lot to play for. In the remaining parts of the season, we have Las Vegas. We're in the USA when it comes to next week for Tier 2. Not only are we in Las Vegas next week, but we're in Italy the following week at Monza, September 1st, and then September 8th for the finale at Brazil. All those 3 rounds in 3 different parts of the world. And with that said, nothing to worry about if you're Ferrari anymore. Nothing to worry about if you're Alpine anymore. Race it out for the race wins. Race it out to battle for second in the Constructors' Championship, and do what you're told by your team bosses. That will be the big thing. If you're wanting to join us throughout the rest of this weekend, we have F2 tomorrow at Suzuka. The next week, it'll be Jeddah after that. Tier 1 tomorrow. Catch us there. That'll be at Canada, the same track that Tier 2 raced today. Following week, they go to Austria, while F2 would be in Jeddah. So ironically, like I mentioned there, 3 different parts of the world. How weird again is that? How that happens. Either way, if you're looking to tune into the action, tune in the rest of the weekend. Sunday, or sorry, not Sunday. Wow, where did I get Sunday from? Saturday, tomorrow, 11:15 a.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. UK. For F2 action, Skither, can he keep on to that championship lead? Can Valkyrie score points again? Valkyrie scored points in every F2 race this season. How about that? Not really been the best from her in Tier 2. As we saw today, a collision at Turn 1. But in F2, her bad days have turned into good days. And then Tier 1 tomorrow. Can Red Bull continue the strong momentum? Although they did not win the race today, they ended up clinching the Constructors' Championship on a day they can kind of relax, and they did do just that. They relaxed, but they have a lot of momentum with them, with the hope of maybe doing the same thing in Tier 1 throughout a long, long season we have of Tier 1 that still will continue throughout the weekend. Or can Ferrari, who has done quite well with Skither and a Chiller, capitalize on the momentum they've started this weekend with a 1-3 in Tier 2? They're trying to do the same thing in Tier 1. Well, Red Bull win again the Constructors' Championship in RPL Tier 2. They do it. They did everything right this year throughout 8 rounds. It's an 11-round season for those of you just tuning in to RPL for the first time. It's an 11-round season for RPL Tier 2, and they clinched it at round 8. If you thought real life was bad with the dominance, well, it's not as bad here. I'll put it that way. Ferrari have 3 of the wins, Red Bull have 5 of the wins. But Red Bull has been so consistent with at least having 1 car on the podium each race. Ferrari hasn't done that. Ferrari actually get a car on the podium the first time in a couple of weeks. So, Red Bull have done just what they needed to. Yeah, that is Ferrari's first time on the podium since round 2, actually, with 1 car. Crazy enough to say that. Round 2 in Monaco. So, Red Bull, they showed, unlike real life, you know, you don't have to win every race, but you just have to be consistent, and they've done just that. Like I said, whoever's hopped in their car has done a miraculous job, and they deserve the credit. Owen, Minions, Reese, TB, anybody who has been a part of that Red Bull Academy, Jack Miles, L74G, any of them who've been a part of Red Bull have done a fantastic job when it's come to the history of RPL, and they continue that history today by winning the Constructors title. The question now becomes, are they eligible for a Drivers' Championship? Because they can clinch having the Drivers' Championship with either Owen or Minions next week as well. So, big things to watch out for next week, whether it be the Drivers' Championship getting sealed, or whether it be Red Bull sealing the Drivers' Championship itself with at least 2 of their drivers. It's time to find out next week with Las Vegas. It's time to find out for the rest of the weekend with Tier 1 tomorrow, F2 tomorrow. I'm your commentator, Ryan Ocon31. I was glad to have you a part of the action. I would be even more glad to have you a part of the action tomorrow for some amazing racing around Suzuka, and Tire Iron Wolf will continue the action in Tier 1 in Canada later in the day. Tune in tomorrow, F2. 11 a.m., 4 p.m. 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. UK. After that, Titan will get Tier 1 while I'll be away. Until next time, have a good one, folks, and have a great rest of your evening.